Avatar has hit $2 billion. Ha ha ha. Wow. Okay. So, it says here, Avatar 2, The Way of Water becomes the sixth film in history to surpass $2 billion globally. After just 6 weeks, I tell you this, Mr. Cameron, you don't gotta worry about nothing no more. I guess you the greatest of all time. I mean, man, you said you needed $2 billion to break even, and whether you were right or wrong, the fact of the matter is, I mean, you brought out a sequel to a movie all these years later, and you were actually able to break $1 billion and then break $2 billion. I mean, you can't argue with this man. You can't argue with him on his skills and his team's skills of making movies. You can't. It's just, it is what it is. After just 6 weeks of release, James Cameron's blockbuster sequel, Avatar: The Way of Water, has surpassed $2 billion in global ticket sales. It's the sixth film in history and the first in pandemic times. And that's interesting too. I mean, it's not super pandemic times, but that in these times after this, that it was able to do that. To cross the coveted milestone, joining an exclusive club that includes Avatar, Avengers Endgame, Titanic, Star Wars The Force Awakens, Avengers Infinity War. Now, Cameron is responsible for 3 of the 6 highest grossing films of all time. He's also the only director with 3 films to cross $2 billion. Notably, Zoe Saldana, who plays Neytiri in Avatar series, has now starred in 4 of this. I was just did that. Wow. She also appears in both Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, reprising her Gamora role. Notably, The Way of Water has officially hit the lofty goal that Cameron set for himself prior to the film's release. Before the sequel opened in theaters, he told GQ that Avatar 2 represents the worst business case in movie history because it needs to become one of the 3 or 4 top grossing films of all time just to break even. And analysts believe the film's break-even point was closer to $1.5 billion. So The Way of Water has already been in the black. But in the coming days, it'll take down the 4th and 5th biggest movies, Star Wars The Force Awakens at $2.07 billion and Avengers Infinity War at $2.04 billion to achieve that feat. The original Avatar, which debuted in theaters 13 years ago. I mean, that's wild, man, that he is able to do that. Remains the biggest movie of all time at $2.9 billion. Avengers Endgame trails closely behind in the second place with $2.79 billion, while Titanic stands as the 3rd highest grossing film release ever at $2.19 billion. So far, The Way of Water has generated $598 million at the domestic box office and $1.4 billion internationally. Overseas, the standout market is China at $229 million, France at $129 million, Germany at $117 million, Korea at $96 million, and United Kingdom at $81 million. It's especially impressive that Avatar 2 managed to crack $2 billion, a benchmark that's been impossible in COVID times because not every market is reconnecting with the Na'vi. The follow-up isn't playing in Russia, where the original grossed $116 million, and it's flopping in Japan with $28 million. That's interesting. A dramatic decrease from the first film's $176 million haul. Interesting. Because they really lost their love of it. The long-delayed sequel to 2009's Avatar opened in December. Okay, so you know what? I'll tell you this. He can bring out a movie whenever he feels like it. Can't nobody tell him nothing. Who's going to tell this man can do anything he wants? He can write his own checks in Hollywood. I don't think anybody's telling him what to do. Especially after this feat. Nobody's telling him what to do. He's going to do whatever the hell he wants. This is crazy. Post comments down below. Let me know what you think. 10 million subscribers. Woo!